Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Heather Core, and I am the enrollment counselor for the Agronomy e-learning academy here at Purdue University. And we're so excited to have you here with us today as we introduce our newest course, the Digital Agriculture course, as part of the Agronomy e-learning academy. I'm joined today by Dr. Bruce Erickson, the director of the Agronomy e-learning academy. Dr. Erickson, I'd love to start today by having you share a quick introduction. Would you like to tell us a bit about your background and your role here at Purdue?
Well, it's not too exciting, Heather, but I'm an Iowa farm kid, agronomy degree from Iowa State, spent some time at Pioneer in Iowa as an agronomist, came to Purdue, got a master's, PhD, and then have done some consulting work in my life. Was at a consulting company in Indianapolis, was the education manager for the American Society of Agronomy, worked with CCA program there. And I've always been interested in digital agriculture. And for the last several years, I've been a professor of digital agriculture, a clinical position here at the university. And and the director of this e-learning academy. We have several different courses, and I can talk about that more if we have time, Heather. But
Wonderful. So as we go through the questions I have today for Dr. Erickson, please feel free to drop any questions you have, whether it's about digital agriculture or the other courses that we offer. And as we have time, I will do my best to answer those. But I have some really in-depth questions today for Dr. Erickson about our newest course, and we're going to kick that off. So to kick this off, can you share the story behind this new course and what led us to the transition from precision agriculture to digital agriculture? And why do you feel this shift is so important right now?
well, we started this whole academy about a decade ago, and we knew that there were practitioners out there, ag retail people and farmers and other people working in agriculture that needed some additional education in terms of agronomy and crops. And so we started with a beginning agronomy course. We added a precision ag course, we added a nutrient course, and so those are our mainstays. But the and our courses were quite popular, and a lot of people, a lot of companies we've partnered with. But unlike a lot of basic nutrient concepts, like what are the three primary nutrients, those don't change. You know, what is a hybrid versus a variety? That does not change. Precision agriculture things do change quite a bit over the course of time. And so we felt like we needed a redo of this. And there's a lot of terms, they get confusing. Is it precision ag? Is it digital ag? Is it smart agriculture? Is it precision farming, precision agriculture? A lot of those terms are often interchanged. And I guess the precision part of it refers more to like site specific things, the digital, as we've gotten into a lot more data science. That's probably the key distinction for me is that the data science piece has become a lot bigger over time. And so we really thought that we needed to redo our precision ag, digital ag course. And so we started down this road and launched it this just with a bunch of teachers just this past few months here. So and we're it's open to ag retail and open to anyone that wants to join.
For those who might have been familiar with our previous course, how would you say that digital agriculture differs in terms of focus, technology, and learning outcomes?
Well, if you know something about digital ag, you know that it's hard to keep up. I mean, there's a new startup company doing something. There's some new gadget. The artificial intelligence piece is very new and wasn't around. Certainly didn't even think of that like a decade ago when we launched the Precision Ag course. I mean, I know that artificial intelligence concept has been around for like 50 years, but I wasn't working with it certainly. And there's been a lot of differences in terms of a lot of advancements in terms of automation too. And again, we've had automation for a long time in various forms. We've had combine adjustments that are automated, and we have had auto steer and that kind of stuff. But we're getting into a lot more autonomous and those types of things. And so our previous precision agriculture course also we was a lot of video based type of instruction, and we felt like we needed to focus more and do things a little bit different because our instructional designers at Purdue were telling me that, Bruce, students don't necessarily want to listen to all those videos all the time. And so that's not what helps them learn. Maybe we want to try a different format. And so we've been putting content into a different type of format, a more, like a video. We try to make them short and we try to make them entertaining as possible. I don't know if anyone's been watching a lot of basketball, but you can engage yourself in basketball if you want to, but you can also just not engage and just sit back too. But with our new formats, we're trying to get people to engage in the learning process more, and that's what we're hoping to do. Because, I mean, I'm an educator. I've been doing various types of education for years and years. And one thing that is pretty well proven, it's no surprise to anyone, is like the more you engage the learner in the learning process, the more of that information is probably going to stick in their head. And so that's what we really try to do.
As I start to ask this next question, I'm going to give you a second to share your screen, Bruce. So can you walk us through some of the key topics or modules learners will explore? And how do these topics prepare them to tackle today's challenges in agriculture?
Yeah, and I don't know what I'm sharing here. I'm probably
That's all
sharing,
right.
I'm sure I'm sharing all my bookmarks and all that, whatever. What did I have up here before we started this? And so you can see I've got a new site up and everything, but um okay, so I don't know if if people can see this in the left, it's probably quite small, and I if I make it bigger, I'll cut off the bottom here, but the we divided the course into these chunks of information, and you can see that there are 10 of these, and excuse me, because we wanted to stay within like our other courses. They run 12 weeks, and part of the reason that we did this is that it provides a reasonable amount of content for each module. And then also, if someone wanted to fit it within a semester of a university or a period in high school or something like that, then that would potentially work. And these are each maybe depending on how much the learner gets into it. These might take a couple hours per week to do this, or maybe a little more. And so then you can typically do it in an evening, or you can do it on a Saturday morning or whatever. If you're sit out on the field or whatever, and you have an hour or two of downtime, these are all available on any tablet or smartphone or computer or whatever. And so if you look from top to bottom here, can you see these, Heather? Okay, are these readable at all? Like this wording that I'm pointing at right now?
For anyone on a computer, yes, but you might want to touch on it if anyone joined us on a smartphone.
Yeah, so I'll describe all these too. And so, I mean, obviously we have an introduction and the old adage of tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. I mean, that's a key principle of giving a talk. And so we have the introduction, we have the conclusion, etc. But we sort of we took the same order of some things from the precision ag course, and we added data to it. And so there's a data life cycle basically where if you think about if you're trying to do digital agriculture, you're collecting information, you're managing the data. You are visualizing the data and maybe putting it into a geographic information system or a GIS. And then also, you are then using that information and applying that, and that can occur through automation. And then we do a deep dive into some of the things that are related specifically to soil, water, and environmental management. A big piece of digital agriculture has always been nutrient management. We know that fertilizers and wow, especially right now, are a big part of the production and the expense, what farmers and their advisors go through. And then also crop and pest management too. So that's sort of the basic content of the course going down through all of those modules. And we can go through in each of these. And, if you've been doing digital ag for a long time and you feel like you're a lot on top of this, this may or may not be the course for you. If you're new to this and want to ramp up, then that's more of our audience. We really felt like with all of our courses, there's really no prerequisite to this course. You don't have to have a course in calculus. One thing that we do recommend, though, is that you should have some agronomy background. And so, if you have a choice, it would be good to take the Agronomy Essentials course, our sort of our flagship course of our academy here, and to know some of the agronomic things that we talk about. I mean, if we talk about something related to soil or nutrients or pest management principles or whatever, you'll have a pretty good idea what we're talking about. So that's really how the course flows is through each of those modules.
Now, if I could just interrupt for a second, you did a wonderful job touching on the learning experience and the module structure, but could you touch on what level of interactivity or support learners might expect along the way, Bruce?
Well, we know that learners, in addition to trying to engage themselves in the learning process, and that's helpful, this is an online course and it's recorded. And so some people, it takes a little bit of getting going on these things. Like I know I was out and finished my master's degree and then went and excuse me, finished my bachelor's degree and then was out working for about 10 years because before I came back with my to do my master's degree. And it was a little scary to go back to school. I mean, the students looked a lot younger, and of course that won't be the situation here, but if you're a little rusty with this, it can be somewhat intimidating. And so we have what we feel are really good support systems. We have a person dedicated to this that if you get stuck or whatever in something, in terms of the administration of the course, if anyone has a question, of course, then I'm always available. And I'll give you you've got my email, I'll give you my personal cell phone number and which I always do to the students at Purdue here. They hardly ever use it, I must admit, but I always give them my cell phone number, and because I would rather have someone contact me than spin out of control and be frustrated. So how's that sound, Heather?
That sounds wonderful. So we've touched on the learning experience, but what about the assessment and outcomes? How would you say that learners are evaluated throughout this course? And what credential or recognition do they receive once they complete it?
Well, that's a really good topic to talk about because a decade ago, when we started this whole e-learning academy, we got together a group of agribusiness people in a hotel near the Indianapolis airport, and they flew in. Some of the people did, some of the people drove from closer in, and there were some of the typical. There were several companies that I'm sure most everyone here would recognize, and so we wanted to make sure that we built that. And do I probably should stop sharing here. Um, we wanted to make sure that we built it so it would work for these companies. And because they were the ones that said, Purdue, you need to, you can do a master's there, you can do a PhD. A lot of us have our bachelor's degrees from Illinois, Iowa State, Kansas State, wherever, Kentucky, Purdue. But we need something for the working person. A typical thing that we heard is that I just hired someone and they don't know enough about agriculture. I got to get them ramped up because they're going to be doing this X, Y, and Z for me in the future. So again, we brought in these people into this meeting, and it was a whole day meeting. And I was so keyed up about this, I don't think I even slept the night before because it was a very involved meeting. But we went through every single iteration of what we were going to do. And basically, what it was is like, here's what we're planning. Does this look okay to you? And tell us, and be brutally honest, is this going to work or what would you change? And it was because I think I know ag companies fairly well, and I think I have a pretty good feel as to what they need. But you asked, I'm getting to the assessment, Heather, so just be patient. One thing that they said is like, Bruce, if we're going to be paying to send people to this course, we need to know that they learn something. Okay, so every module needs to have an assessment. And the thing that was fun about this too is that, okay, so that sounds all well and good. We're going to build in these questions into the course, and so what should be the level of passing? I mean, if 70% is a C at the university, 80% is a B, whatever, and the whole room just like it needs to be 100%. And so all if you all had to get 100% on all your exams for your degrees, ain't nobody listening here today would have ever gotten any degree. Okay, so we have it set up where they're automated questions and they're randomly generated, and so you have to get 100% to pass. But if you miss a question, or if you miss a quiz, and there are either 5 or 10 questions depending on the course, but it will then reshuffle the questions and give you a whole new set of questions, maybe some of the previous ones, and then you can take another attempt. And we know there's probably people that just go directly to the quiz and they're more interested in that. But this system has worked extremely well for us. And having worked for the CCA program and being the person that developed the CCA exams, I have a lot of experience in developing test questions. And so I think our questions work fairly well. But um, if you pass, and our goal is to get everyone to pass. And so 99% of the people that take these courses pass. Then we offer a certificate. Unfortunately, we can't offer college credit because we don't have a proctored exam. I'm not comfortable with, or nor do you get a grade or whatever. You get a certificate, and then if you, pass 3 of the courses, the digital ag, nutrient management, and agronomy essentials, we will give you a crop professional certificate that, like I say, is a combination of all those 3 courses.
Now, I hate to put you on the spot, but you used an acronym that not all our listeners probably know. You said CCA.
Well, thank you for catching me on that. I should have been wise to that. And so, like a lot of us that work certain things, I mean, those roll off of our uh, tongue without thinking about it. So, this is the Certified Crop Advisor program. And if you're an agriculturalist, you may know about this professional certification program. And that is a certification program. And having worked for that, a lot of the content that we have in our courses relates to the CCA or Certified Crop Advisor program. And so, if by chance, maybe not so much of the digital ag course, but like the agronomy essentials course and the nutrient course, um, a lot of that will directly apply to the knowledge that you need to become certified for the CCA or Certified Crop Advisor program.
And then I will add on that if you are taking courses with us, our courses have been evaluated for CEUs, should you be a CCA and need to take some of our educational courses. Correct, Bruce?
Yes, I'm glad you added that in. Yep, that's right.
All right, so let's dig in a little bit to some of this real world application and who this course is best suited for. So I would love if you could talk about if students really need any sort of background knowledge or experience What would set them up for success to join this course, Bruce?
Okay, so I think, as I mentioned before, it would be good to have some agronomy knowledge going into the digital agriculture course. And so Agronomy Essentials, it's like basically an agronomy 100 level course at a university. If you remember, I took agronomy 114 at Iowa State. We have agronomy 105 here at Purdue, and there's a introductory agronomy at every community college and land grant university all around the country. Okay, and so it'd be good to have that before you take the digital agriculture course. And so, other than that, like I say, we try to. I mean, I've been teaching for a long time. We try to make it as palatable as possible for a wide variety of learners, and we haven't had much difficulty with that. I mean, I think everyone can relate to their maybe the chemistry professor from hell that they remember from their college days, or even their high school, whatever, that was like so into that subject that they didn't relate to the students. And I try, we're not doing that. All this content should be very relatable. And so I know like some general, I've studied education. I don't have any degrees in education. It's all in agronomy stuff, but I work with some people in the ag education department here, and the try to you try to talk in their language. You relate things to the learner as to what they already know. And learning, some people would say there's a scaffolding theory sort of a thing where uh, if you can tie it into something that the learner already knows about, then that will really help them to get it. If you are talking about a concept that they can't relate to at all, then that's really hard for the learner then. And so we've really tried to make it that way in this course. And so something that we did, and I'll admit I was pulled in kicking and screaming on this, that I didn't necessarily want to do this, but I'm glad that we did, is that we added some case studies or scenarios to this course. And I certainly know the value of a case study, but to bring it alive, we have video scenarios in this course, and they're like maybe there's a video. It's maybe just a few minutes, and what it tries to do is it's problem-based learning. And that's another key educational principle too, is that in order to make it relevant for the learner, you present a situation, and then the learner can relate to that where you put it in a relatable context for the learner. So every one of the modules has one of these, and it's just not all about corn and soybeans too. We do other crops and other um, things. We have a California kind of a setup. We have a Florida type of a setup. We have a Midwestern sort of a thing. So, and all of those provide some context for the learner.
Thank you for that. And then this last one is it's going to be in a few parts, but I really want to dig in for the learners who have heard all this content and they're like, all that's really keeping me from signing up for this course is I really want to know what are the practical real world skills I'll walk away with and how will it prepare me to tackle today's challenges in agriculture?
Wow, you said you weren't going to ask any hard questions, Heather, and now
I
you've
I
thrown
kind of
one at
fibbed.
me.
I kind of fibbed.
Oh, I guess you did. And the other thing is, I'm looking at the clock. Are we supposed to go a full hour on this,
We
or?
are, because we are. We are, yes.
Oh, you must have some stuff up your sleeve here then. So, okay, so to answer your question, then the uh, the situation with let me just paint a broad picture here. And again, this won't be any surprising news for most people that are on the webinar, is that the agriculture, as we know, has been had miraculous breakthroughs. I mean, if you take a look at equipment over the years and those inventions, I mean, go back 100 or 200 years even, hybrid. This is the 100-year anniversary of Pioneer Hybrid, and they weren't even the didn't the technology had been around before the 1920s, and so there's been breakthroughs in fertilizers and uh, crop protection and chemicals and those types of things and biotech, my goodness. And so a lot of people are thinking that if for us to keep progressing in agriculture, for us to keep up with the growing population around the world, and for us to make sure we're good stewards of the land too, we need to keep farming better. And so in the past, we've been able to work up more land, cut down trees in Brazil and move into grasslands and other parts, but we're running out of those opportunities, and also we've been able to put on, more inputs too, but the future looks like we're going to have to keep doing things smarter. And so technology or computer stuff is being used, as everyone well knows. If you interact in society or do anything in the community, you know that there's with the internet, with computers, whatever, we're making big gains all across society, and that's viewed as one of the growth areas in agriculture too. And this is not new. We've been, since like digital precision agriculture stuff started. I'd say probably our current era in the mid 1990s. The yield monitor was invented in 1992, as I recall. We started using like GPS type of stuff came on in the 90s. The uh, auto steer about 2000, early 2000s is when it came along. And so we're going to keep needing to keep doing things better and to keep being more efficient. And the latest thing, of course, is to try to use artificial intelligence to keep improving on things and to all the other digital tools. And I'll just mention a few of them here. Like I already mentioned auto guidance, and that's pretty well proven to be an efficiency driver. Section controllers on sprayers and planters, where we put the inputs where we need them and don't waste them off going across a waterway or in a turn row or something like that. We have, sensors and precision soil testing and those types of things where we can get a good sense for what's going on in different parts of the field. Grid soil sampling might be, or zone soil sampling, and then we do variable rate technology, and that mostly works. We've been trying to improve on that as time goes on too, and we can put it all into a geographic information system. We can put our satellite imagery, we can put aerial imagery, drone imagery. The latest things, like I mentioned before, artificial intelligence. We're using drones now, not so much, not only for imagery, but we're putting a lot of inputs on with drones now too. And so there's a section in this class on all of that technology to help people understand that. And there's some young entrepreneurs that are doing very well in terms of that. So we really feel like to, I guess, circle around to your difficult question, Heather, and is that we really feel like a knowledge of this then for any of us to grow in terms of how we're managing our business, we need to understand the technology and see how it's going to relate to our own situation because in many cases it may relate, in many other cases it may not relate. It needs to integrate into our business. How was that for that was a really long answer.
But it was a very hard question, and I'm sure everyone appreciated it. Did you have anything else you would like to add before I take over for a little bit?
Uh, I guess the key thing is that I just want people to know that I'm a farm kid from Iowa. I have always I just think about agriculture all the time. And there's a lot of educational opportunities out there. And I just want people to know that I've done a lot of, I mean, I'm the primary designer of this, have a lot of help from a lot of people. And like I say, we try to put it in language that the typical person will understand. And like my wife and I sometimes talk, one of the things that we enjoy doing the most is there's a lot of technical stuff that's going on in agriculture. What we try to do is to boil it down and to try to make it understandable by the common person. And if I can understand it, I'm guessing that most people can understand it. So go ahead, Heather.
Thank you so much, Bruce. So before we do wrap up, please do start to put your questions in our chat or in the question and answer box. I just wanted to take a quick second to touch on the fact that alongside this brand new course, within the Agronomy e-learning academy, we do have two other courses, and Dr. Erickson already briefly touched on them. And he's talked about how all universities have kind of an agronomy 101. So if you did want to start in that class first, that would be our agronomy essentials course. And as you can see, it's also a non-credit course offered through us to meet the needs of professionals in all areas of agriculture, and that'll give you your baseline understanding. And if you need more time to kind of look through that, you can scroll down and see our syllabus for the 6 modules here. That course is where you can request information, look at a syllabus, or just register right away. And that has the videos that we were talking about and how you'll have supplemental readings, graphics, glossaries, and links to additional information. We love that Bruce has so thoughtfully linked out to other information. So if it's a topic you're passionate about, you can spend a little more time looking at it. And then there's slides and those tests he mentioned. And then our other course here, a little more specialized, would be the nutrient management, where you take a look at some of today's most concerning environmental issues, including impacts on water quality, greenhouse gases, and how crop nutrient expenses are second only to land costs as an overall expense to farmers, and you can scroll down and see the different modules. One thing I did want to take a second on, you can see this digital badge. All of our courses do have those. So if you happen to have social media like LinkedIn and you want to post that badge, you earn those after you complete one of our 3 courses. And that is in addition to that certificate that you earn. And then if you do decide to do all of our courses, let me go back to our course home. And that was what we talked about. Bruce briefly touched on that. You complete all 3 of our courses, Agronomy Essentials, Digital Agriculture, and Nutrient Management, and you get our Frame Crop Professional Certificate. That one is actually mailed to your home address on file. If you only take one course, which is totally fine, it's whatever works for you, you'll print that yourself. We really encourage that you sign up for a one-on-one appointment with an enrollment counselor only because you can learn about any sort of individual discounts. For example, we do support GI Bill benefits. And then if for any reason you're able to enroll, here are our course dates. If you can enroll at least 2 weeks before a course date, you can get a $200 early bird discount as listed here. Our next course date starts June 3rd. It's coming up soon. Or if that feels too soon, then September 16th. Most students do only sign up for one course at a time because there's about 3 to 5 hours of homework a week, and we expect most people are also working full time. If you want to take more than one course, if that feels comfortable to you, that is your personal decision. You can also see a recent student panel discussion on our homepage here. So we just want to make sure that you feel comfortable in building your skill set in a way that works for you. But as we mentioned, we were just here very excited to share our newest course. But I really hope you'll schedule an appointment with me. Feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to help you make the best choice for you.